Call the meeting to order. We'll start with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First thing on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for our regular meeting of June 12th, 2024. And y'all able to see those?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Matt made a motion, Eric seconded. All in favor? Motion carries. Old business. I didn't have anything on here for old business. I mentioned something about that today. We thought it was old business. We're gonna remember later.
There was a comment made in the audience during the last meeting that, not technically old business, but talking about the process to apply for funding. I sent an email to our county attorney about that, because I kind of feel like us and the commissioners are on the same page with that. And we've got those old MOUs. I've got them somewhere, the ones that you sent. There's a 2008 and 2022. I sent both those to him and thought, well, the older one signed by just council, the newer one signed by just commissioners, but can we merge these and make a new one that everybody likes, that the commissioners will approve of, that we'll approve of, and that's the new process. So someone will apply that, for that, go to the commissioners first. Commissioners approve, it shows up here.
And then we do the appropriation.
Right. So I'd like to get that, I feel like everybody agrees on that part. So I was trying to get that going, but I haven't really got any traction.
That kind of how it is now anyway, since.
Well,
The commissioners really
No,
haven't
no,
set
it's
up
up to
how
them.
it is.
Okay.
They haven't really set it up yet.
I feel like there needs to be a
They have to,
process.
Yeah, for people to know how to ask. And I wonder if they're gonna do a grant cycle. I don't know.
didn't she go was her last name Furnish?
Carol, yeah.
Didn't she go to their meeting and ask for the same thing?
Yes.
And I thought they said they were gonna do something.
But
This
it
was
was in
never
process.
decided on the process, how to handle it or anything. Now, the lady from the YMCA, she presented something requesting, and she had a copy from Jefferson County, how they did it, and she just kind of pre-filled with our information and everything.
Okay.
It was a little different than what either of those two that I had sent out was, but I mean, I can send them to you guys.
So that's just.
Since the commissioners own the process,
They
wouldn't they be the ones
It is.
to,
They would be the ones.
No.
they would be the ones to create any sort of,
They have to give up their authority
Yeah.
to make the process begin.
so as far as we could go is recommend to the commissioners that they establish a formal policy, but it's up to them to do it, not
Yes.
not us to do it.
Yes.
But they own the authority.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I agree with you. They needed to set up a process so that anyone in the public would know how the process goes. Because as, before it was always, we would, the last 2 years, we didn't get very many things in writing, but we used to always get everybody's budget and they would come in and we would see them, we would discuss it.
Some
We'd ask
still
them
do.
questions and then some still did. And then the next month, then we would vote on it. So we would have a month to look it over. And that's how we did it. So I'm gonna assume the commissioners are gonna do something similar once they decide how they're gonna do that. But
Yeah, our attorney, he recommended calling it maybe something like a community grant form instead of an MOU, just because of the confusion.
yes,
And I really don't care what you call it, I guess, that's
Yeah.
fine. Yeah, I'd like to try to get something going, process, but yeah, I mean, commissioners obviously got to approve whatever
Yeah.
the form is as well.
yeah, within the guidelines of what they're allowed to do. But if they set it up to some kind of community grant, I think that would be the best way myself. But yeah, well, it's gotta be legally done.
I think that's what Jefferson
Yeah.
County had, for some reason. I feel like that's what they had, a community grant.
Is that out of the gaming revenue or something? That we
It's
get?
not specifically for the gaming revenue, it's just.
Well, the gaming revenue is the part that has the specifics to it.
Yeah.
Just giving money away
I'll have to-
out of, is different, but to give away gaming revenue, that's the one that has the IC codes with the rules, so how you can do that and who you can give it to. Which I didn't even know until this year. Oh, very interesting.
Well, isn't that the only fund that they have control over, right? rest of the funds would stay the same with us having control over, no, all of, everything's going.
They own all tax, everything they own.
As I was saying earlier, it's a little bit frustrating, all the years of scrimping and saving and paying off the debt and building the nest egg and having some gaming revenue put back and trying to build something so that you actually have something that county could possibly even have an endowment like Ohio County does. And then to have a rainy day fund. And now you don't get to decide any of that, but it's good that it's there. I'm not,
Well, I won't say we don't decide any of it. We have access to those funds when it comes to budgeting. That's. fully
yeah,
in our
well,
control.
we do the appropriations for it after they decide where it goes. Basically,
I mean, we
Maybe
have, we have full authority on what we need to do to make funds work. Like last year at SCER, we had to pull gaming revenue and make it work, and we don't go through the commission. We have full authority to use any funds we need to budget. So we have access to them at certain points,
yeah,
but
well, we do, because we have to do the appropriations, but
Right.
the proper, we can't let them overspend anything.
That's the biggest part of it.
Yeah,
The only time we can really step in is when they go
we
over.
can't let them overspend
yeah,
anything.
we can't stop them. I guess I feel we can't stop them from underspending. We're not set up to do that. If they want to let
No.
something fail,
No.
we really can't stop them.
No, we've been underspending for years. That's why there's something there. That's why there's money there for the, pay off the Belterra debt. We underspent for many, many years in order to build something so that when you have that, you have that. And then now there's another thing that we've underspent for many, many years, and now we have the money, or the commissioners have the money to do whatever, is, the hailstorm. How many roofs are gonna be done in the county? Each one of those have a $10,000 deductible. Had we not underspent for many, many years, we would be borrowing money to do that with. So, with interest. So underspending is a very good thing.
Well, I think once the process is outlined clearly, it needs to be advertised and, everybody needs that.
Yeah, hopefully that'll come
Because
soon.
it's still confusing. Like,
Yeah.
we just learned about this a few months back, so.
I know. Yeah, very confusing and a little disheartening at the same time for me it is, because, I've been here a long time and it's been a struggle to build something. And, I'm glad that we have it. I'm really glad that we have it. I guess I'm a little bit of a control freak, just a little bit. Dave knows that, just a little bit. I just, I want to continue to underspend so that when you have the hailstorm or the lawsuit or whatever, you have the money to cover yourself for that without having to borrow it. Or if you have a road slide or whatever, I mean, natural disasters happen. We're learning that over and over again. And we have to have the money to cover ourselves for that. And underspending is the only way you're going to get that. All right,
I remember.
what?
So it was the 400,000. Did the commissioners, where are they getting the 400,000 from?
They took it from the rainy day fund
They took it from rainy day.
within the casino.
And that's already happened, right? Okay.
Do they not still have to go through us for approval of coming out with the budget?
It's,
No, they decide where it's gonna come from and we make the appropriation. It has to be paid. We made a settlement with Belterra for that. The assessor did, signed,
And that's where it needed to come out of?
and it has to come out of somewhere.
It's called state now.
There's only a couple places it can come out of.
it's, yeah, it's 315 after the, and I mean, some of that, in November, when we get ready to do settlement, that's gonna come, how do I explain this? Because we give the school money and whomever the township's money, so out of that settlement, we're gonna recoup some of that money that we had to pay Belterra for the excise tax that we've already given the school out of what was paid in their property taxes, their excise tax. I mean, it's a tedious formula, but, not everything, I'm not saying, but
But all that
Add a
funding that
little
we give
bit.
to like the schools and what you just said, now that has to be approved first by the commissioners, right?
Gail so we did pay it's already paid?
it's already paid.
So there's no.
So we don't
I
have
had to
any,
pay- I had
we're
to
not
pay
paying
it.
that interest at
No.
all.
I had to pay it by a certain
That was the
date.
bigger concern.
They did it, I think it was the 1st of June, that meeting, maybe, the second pay, or the second commissioners meeting. It was the first meeting in June, I believe.
Okay. a few days of interest on it, interest rate.
No.
Okay.
I thought they were moving the date.
They moved it
She said they
back.
moved
They
the date
moved it
back a
back.
little bit, so hopefully there's no.
And the check was sent out before.
All right, so that's done and, we don't have any control over where it comes from.
But as far as what the schools get and the township gets, that has nothing to do with the commissioners or the council. That's all calculated.
Yeah.
By the state,
Okay.
what money gets there.
Yeah, so the Belterra thing hits the
The senior
school
rep-
probably the hardest, because your property tax, most of it goes to the school. So they get a pretty hard hit on it. So that's not a great thing. All right, new business is Yvette, performance leadership class.
Hello, everybody. I work in the auditor's office with Gail. My name's Yvette. And I've been here for a couple years and I've really never had any type of other training outside of the county. A lot of offices do different types of training. So anyway, the AIC, which is the Association of Indiana Counties, has asked me for the last year if I would be interested in taking this development class, leadership, planning and changing communication. And so I've been pretty busy, but I feel like maybe this time might be a good time for me to take this course. It's 12 weeks. It's all online, so I don't have to drive anywhere or attend any special classes somewhere else. But anyway, I just feel like it would be a benefit for me and the county as a whole.
How much is that class, do you know?
Well, it is, excuse me, $2,995. But since I would be the first one that would take it, it's only $1,000.
Did you say the first one?
How goes that?
In Switzerland County.
No, just 'cause it's the first time.
I guess they're,
Okay.
Good idea.
discounted rate for the first employee of the county. Anybody else would be $1,995.
Okay.
So, but like I said, it's 12 weeks. It fits schedule. It's 4 to 5 hours a week, self-paced. It's created in collaboration with, Colin Powell, Marshall Goldsmith, and seasoned executives and academics. So,
Sounds interesting.
there's some continuing education courses, but I don't think that really affects me. And this might be something that Pete might want to be interested in. You probably have a lot of this course already that you've taken, so you're probably ahead of the game on this. But anyway.
You sign up like. Maybe you get $1,000.
I know.
Good for one.
Sorry, I thought commissioners already agreed to send you.
No, I haven't gotten any response from anybody, so I just thought I would show up because
Did you ask them?
I did.
She sent that on an email. I thought Jamie and Randy sent you back notes that makes sense to me.
Right, I see.
Yeah.
I thought this was about the treasurer's thing.
Oh, no.
Okay, but that's another.
That might have been.
Well, that's
Conference.
yeah,
Okay.
that's the treasurer's conference in
Okay.
August. But I didn't receive anything from anybody, so.
I did
I
reply.
think, and I,
Except for- except for Eric.
I was the only one that replied that I
Yeah.
never saw anyone tag on.
Yeah, I
So
didn't.
I think we got two different,
I don't know, I know my email's kind of mixed up. I think it,
it's just like you.
pretty sure they already.
okay.
I don't remember it. They didn't do it in a meeting though, did they?
No, and I wasn't sure if I needed to come down here and ask, because I know, I know money's tight and
I think it's
things
great
like that,
you
but,
want to.
but I just think it's got a lot of benefits to it. Best practices and, organizational development.
That helps your skills, so.
Heck, yeah.
Yeah. So I just think it would be,
Is there a completion certificate or something at the end?
yes, but there's no test. So I said, do I have to take a
One of the
test?
greatest classes you
If I
can take.
fail, they're not gonna, commissioners will want their money back or. So she said there's no test, so
Yeah.
that's,
I
that's
don't know
gone.
Check that part.
I was just asking if we knew that you actually completed it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I was gonna take it and pay for it myself and then ask for reimbursement, but when she said there wasn't any test, and I thought, well, okay, never mind.
Right.
So,
I don't know if we need to vote anything on that to do an appropriation for that if the
Well,
commissioners say it's okay or?
A lot of the training comes out of just the general fund unappropriated.
Is there money in there to do that?
It's
It's
not
not been
appropriated, so
appropriated.
none of
It
it's,
would just come out of the general fund.
but all of our,
We have
elected
unappropriated
officials.
funds in the general?
So,
There's not been an appropriation, so that
Yeah.
line item will be in the negative because nothing's ever been appropriated.
But it's a part of the
Oh,
budget.
there is a line item
I
there.
mean, it's
There's a
part of
line
the-
item,
They're
yes.
they're not gonna come to us if it's in their budget, they're just gonna approve it.
well, when I get state, call letter, for state called meetings, they say take it out of the unappropriated, general fund line. So even though if some people have it in their budget where they, will budget out for their training or their travel expenses, some people don't. And then, of course, we have the other elected officials fund. But this is also another fund that you can take out. Those kinds of,
Yeah, the
Training.
elected official fund, the 1217 is in the negative.
yeah.
One of them's on the BSR that I was concerned with. All right,
So, but anyway,
well, I think it's great that you want to do it. I think it's a benefit for the county and maybe every year somebody should do it.
yeah.
So is it something that you wanted to get an okay from the commissioners or?
You have it,
That's where,
Okay.
they have it to pay for all the meetings, state meetings and trainings. So
I don't think that it was on their, it wasn't on their agenda this last time, did they?
No,
She did.
she hasn't had. been
You
to
sent it
meetings,
out on
she
the
just sent
28th.
an email.
Yeah, but
He
she sent them,
responded.
but they got a vote.
I just,
It looks like Randy and Jamie were like, I'm good
Did
with
they
it.
tack on? I didn't see their response.
It's not on yours, it's on separate. They just put it up there.
Okay. Well, I know that Jamie had my name on the auditor's email, so I don't know if he ever fixed that, but it was like, I was never getting anything from him.
I haven't gotten it.
I mean, it looks like they were good.
Okay,
so you
Okay.
can have a training line item, we just don't have enough money in for that. There's a,
On this,
in your department,
it's not in my department.
It isn't. There is an elected official training.
There's an elected official training that's in the recorder's,
Yeah.
what she turns in every month, what she collects through the month. That is, and like Lisa said, that does go into the negative. But like right now, we are finished except for the treasurer's conference.
yeah.
And she'll continue to put money in that and it'll be fine by the end of
So
the
the
year. I know it shouldn't run in the negative, but
the recorder handles that one.
for the elected officials. But there is the 4900-000-49.
Oh, yeah.
Is that what that is?
Yeah. Account number.
So, and it's just an unappropriated fund,
Yeah.
without appropriation expense is what it's called.
Um,
Right now, I mean, it's in the negative because nothing, nobody puts money in there as an appropriation out of the general fund.
Yeah.
It's under,
You might
I mean, the department is 000, so it's not the commissioners, it's not the council, it's not a specific
Yeah.
department.
But the commissioners have to decide where the money comes from to put it in there.
They, yeah, if they would.
Yeah. Really.
Okay.
But we can,
I think I just go to
I
the.
mean, I can
Yeah, it
just,
would be
Okay,
meaningless
just
to have a
go.
motion because they're the ones that have
we
to
can do
approve.
it.
or I
We
can,
can add it to their
Okay.
department, a line item to her department, and I can appropriate $1,000. If the commissioners don't want to do it, we didn't spend the money.
I think they're,
Okay.
like I said, I think they're.
Okay,
It's
Monday night, just go back over and ask them.
okay. I'll
I
just
don't know
send
if they
out an
just
email.
lost the translation.
I don't know. I just text them, I guess, or something. So. Okay. Well, thank you all.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thanks. Special meeting, Pete? You want to explain a little bit
Yeah,
about that?
absolutely.
Special meeting.
Pete Swingo, I'm the county manager. Yes, I remember the last time. As many of you probably recall, there was some conversation regarding employee benefits. Throw a dart and say February and March. I've been working with the auditor's office to do some research. And we have been in contact with two other organizations. So we currently are through MedBen and Pinnacle. but we have been in contact with Henro, which services Jefferson County, and Apex, which services Ripley County. They both came recommended by representatives of the counties. The director of HR from Jefferson County and the auditor of Ripley County both recommended, and they said their employees and their leadership members were also very pleased with the service and the cost. So Yvette and myself have discussed benefits for the county employees with both of them on several occasions. And working with the commissioners, we would like to have a special meeting with the county council to allow our current vendor and the two prospective vendors to present benefit packages and options where I personally believe that we can save the county some money and at minimum keep what we have right now. So what I'm asking is if you all would be interested to attend a special meeting. In my mind, we're looking at probably 20 minutes per presentation, 3 presentations, maybe 10 or 15 extra minutes for questions on the back end of each of those presentations. So maybe an hour and a half max.
So you'd have 3.
3 presentations,
Medman
yes, sir.
and
Yeah, MedBen, Apex, and Henro.
Is your thought about adding that before a commissioner meeting or after a commissioner meeting or?
As far as I'm concerned, whatever date works best for the most people would probably be appropriate. I'm assuming that would either be a council meeting or a commissioner
Yeah,
meeting.
and that
So
needs
like
to be,
3:30 on a Wednesday or Monday.
it needs to be done before August or?
The sooner the better. One of the vendors has their presentation basically ready, because to be honest with you, they already presented to us. Another one I believe is close, but I would like to give all 3 of them an ample opportunity to have the same level of presentation and preparedness. So I think a month is appropriate. So whether it be the middle of August or the beginning of September, the sooner the better on that end, because if we're gonna make a change, we want to be able to make that change appropriately and as effective as possible
Do we have a current agreement with Medban and Pinnacle?
this year.
It ends this year,
That's my
at the end
understanding.
of the
Yes.
calendar year.
People working in conjunction with the broker on this.
So Apex, Henro are the brokers,
Oh, they are the.
and then MedBen and Pinnacle are the brokers that we currently have.
Have we given them guidance on what we'd like to see from a difference to the current program? tiers?
There will be more
Healthy
expectations aligned in the upcoming communication.
Okay.
So the current presentations, or the one presentation that we saw, and I apologize because I'm starting to get confused on who I talked to about what, was basically what they could offer as opposed to what our current offer is, so as close as they could. And I was very pleased with at least what my understanding of their offer was.
So you've shared cost and what our deductibles are and all that, so they'll know when they talk to us in that 20-minute span.
Yes, sir. Yeah, the presentation should be apples to apples. To quote Jamie. We're not gonna do apples to oranges.
My only recommendation would get the apples to apples quote, so you can see what you have versus what they would offer on the same plan.
Yep.
But then I would open the Pandora's box and
Absolutely.
say,
What
get
can you do better?
creative.
Yep.
With today's, what's happening in the medical world and the health benefits world, and bring us something different that saves us additional money above and beyond just an apples to apples.
Yeah.
Squeeze the limit.
Absolutely. I think that's a great idea. Is everybody on
Yeah.
an agreement that that would be okay?
Yep.
Awesome. There'll be a follow-up email
All right,
just to update everyone, and thank you for your time.
all right, no problem. Thank you. All right, next on the agenda is the BSR review that I asked for. Thanks for sending that. When she sends that, and I just copied up some pages of some ones that I had questions on because they're in the negative. And I'm not really sure why they're in the negative, but they are. Like, for instance, the general fund shows negative. The clerk shows a negative.
The auditor, you mean,
Auditor shows a negative.
the clerk doesn't,
Clerk's in great shape now.
no, it's the auditor. It's my, supplies.
Okay.
And that is Carolyn's printer, not the copier, but the printer. It's just, she uses that for maps
Mhm.
and it's just burning, she's burning through them. I mean, it's, toner cartridges are ridiculous anymore, so. I've talked to her a little bit about, I talked to Janie, I'm sorry, not Carolyn, about maybe getting something where she can print those to the copier instead of the printer, so she doesn't have to use that as much.
What are we printing maps for?
People that come in, general public, when they come in, they want to know their property line, where this is, where that is, kind of thing.
Do we make?
Not a map,
Can we
it's just a,
Do we
yeah,
charge
we do
them
charge
anything?
them, and we collect that. And it does go, I do have a revenue account that does not show up in here.
But there is an offset.
There could be, yeah, I could put it in there, yes.
All right, I see that, hers is, that the office supplies is over, but on the bottom line, it shows less, quite a bit in the negative on the BSR,
On the,
on the auditors.
I don't know where you're looking at, because mine doesn't show anything.
Yeah.
Page 3.
Page 3, yeah, that's what I'm looking at, it's page 3.
The whole department's not in red, just the one
Yeah,
item.
that's, I don't know why that shows negative, because mine shows positive.
Yeah. I thought maybe there was some mess
I
up
don't know
on
why
some
that,
things, but the ones, this is what we were emailed.
yeah, this is what I just got before I
And it's-
came down here, so I
yeah.
don't know why that shows
But
negative.
it shows
like
in the
that.
negative, so some of these other ones might not be in the negative.
So you think it's just the one line, the item?
Yeah, that's all I have is the one line.
Yeah.
The bottom line, I mean, that is showing everything.
Yeah.
Salaries and,
Yeah.
Have the BSI's been updated
I haven't updated one,
since we got this?
most likely, yeah, 'cause I think she did, what's the date on yours up there in the left-hand
This is the
corner?
one that you just, July 1st.
Yeah, mine's the 10th, so there's been claims that have been paid and salaries have been paid. But I don't know why that one even shows
Is that, I
negative.
saw the same thing, so maybe we better just get a refresh copy.
Yeah, I can send you this one
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Recorder, and then there was a couple of things that, I know they're like on the Riverboat Fund page.
Well, on 1191,
Well, there, you can't really look at the very bottom line because that one's subtracting out your revenues at the top.
well,
And unless those revenues are filled in, it's gonna look like a negative.
the 1191, is that what you're talking about?
Now, I'm talking about the auditor department. You're looking at you worried about the negative at the bottom?
Yeah, I don't know why hers says that. I don't
No,
know
mine's
why.
got, yeah, mine's negative too.
I don't know
The
why
one-
it's got
You gotta
that
look at the
on there,
line
'cause
above.
none of them show that.
That's
And
the
I mean, that's
expense- the
technically-
Expense total is the
Right.
line above it,
Yeah, that's what you need to look at.
but the auditor department total has got negative on it.
Right,
Yeah.
because it's subtracting, it's at the very top of the page, you have revenue. So it's taking revenue minus your expenses and there's no revenue in there in the auditor department. So it's just showing a zero minus your expenses, because it's in the general fund. Does that make sense?
I don't know why hers doesn't have a negative on hers and mine
I don't
does.
know.
Mine's got a negative on mine.
Yeah.
I got a-
Yeah, mine doesn't. I don't know. I just
So-
printed mine out.
Yeah.
I didn't print any revenues on mine either.
Because you don't have the revenue line on here.
Yeah, most
We have a
likely.
different report.
No, it's the BSR, it's just without
just-
revenue.
It's the wrong, it's
You
It's a
said-
different version that's showing revenue less expenses and with no revenue.
yeah.
You're
Yeah, still gotta have,
Yeah,
I mean, there's obviously
But-
revenue, we just don't put them out, put them in their fund.
yeah,
Okay,
the
so,
revenues
so the
never get
sheriff's, the
appropriated.
sheriff's fund's not in a negative either,
What page is that?
7.
7?
Yeah, he's only got $25,000 in revenue off expenses of 352,000.
And see, I mean, there again, you don't have any revenues that are appropriated when we do our budgets.
I didn't know.
We
if it's
never-
maybe-
I don't know why.
Because, what do you think about, we do our budget on how much money we're gonna have for the year, and the property tax that was paid in May,
Yeah,
November's hasn't been paid yet, so there's revenue to come in to pay some of the expenses. But I didn't know that, how in the world do we operate with them not having the money? If they're, I don't know, it looks like it's all negative. to
Well,
me. I
that's-
get scared.
they're part of the general fund too.
Yeah.
So that money, that overall,
The general fund money comes from the property taxes.
Right, but that's gonna be negative in April, let's say.
Because
General fund's gonna show negative because your property tax.
Until your property tax, and then they pay them in May, and then they don't pay put one 6 months and then you don't get the revenue until November. So even though we've appropriated the money out for the entire years,
Yeah, it's going through the year, it's gonna go up and down, but I mean,
Which is why, it's why it does make sense, Lisa, to go line by line, to your
Yeah.
point, because everything else is so lumpy. So you look at office supplies in the auditor's office, you look at professional services in the treasurer's office, you spent the full amount already almost. You go on to recorder's office, the deputy recorder's salary looks out of whack to the
And
annual.
it's gonna be out of whack because you had a payout. And
Yeah.
deputy left, retired, and then,
I'm not necessarily looking for answers, and I'm just giving some
Yeah.
examples, operating software. So what I had suggested when this was sent out is, how would we have a summary report with variances? And then we just talk about the variances. If we could get the auditor's office, the treasurer's office, combination of two offices, put together a variance report. And we just say, hey, anything that's out of line by, set the number, $250, $500, $1,000, 25, whatever the number is. If it's over and above the budgeted amount, we need frankly, the department head to tell us why that's the case.
I saw
and
that.
sometimes it's because halfway through the year, the main bills come out for something
And
that.
and
has
it
to pay
could be
for
as
the year.
simply as,
And they
hey,
don't have that expense anymore.
revenues are lumpy, or we paid the premium in April, and that's gonna balance out the balance of the year. Some of them will be that quick. Professional services, office supplies, overtime. I mean, you wanted to talk about SERS specifically, right? SCER, I mean, they've got massive overtime. But if you look at all the sort of usage buckets, gas and oil, tires, supplies, all that's right on plan. So why do we have all this overtime if there doesn't appear to be with medical supplies right on plan? So either overtime was under budgeted, those things were over budgeted, or we're just having overtime and we really don't have activity. And I'm not suggesting that's the case, but that's the idea of going through it by a line item, so you can kind of decipher what's going on.
I think it makes good fiscal responsibility for all of us, but putting it back on Gail, I like the idea of, let's set a number, maybe $5,000. If she sees that, then that cost center manager, department head, and elected official that's over that,
Owes her a response.
if they owe her a response, or they come here and explain it.
Whereas, we don't want to budget additional appropriations at the end of the year.
well, I mean,
Yeah.
most likely we're gonna have some because
We always do.
no one budgeted for overtime. I mean, SCER did, but, the animal shelter, they did not budget for overtime at the budget last year. So then when we took comp time, the highway's gonna have overtime.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I mean, I don't, if they go way over, obviously we missed the target, but these are just targets we aimed at last
Right.
fall. I mean, you get, $2,000 office supplies, we're 2,087, it's pretty close. And for years, we had them.
But
pull
it's
them
only,
down.
we're only so many months.
Well,
in the
yeah.
year.
You're
And
6
I don't
months
know
through
if
the
she-
year on a $3,000 budget.
And I don't know, if she's done it, she might not be done, I don't know, but I mean, we asked them to aim low for years. I mean, we begged them to cut their budgets and cut. All that means is if they go over a little bit, we just kind of appropriate a little bit at the end. I mean,
What's the point of the budget, Lance, if you're just gonna say, well, if you go over, we'll just appropriate more funds? That doesn't make any sense.
well, your alternative is to let them put more in, but it's a zero sum game. So if she's allowed 3,000, then somebody's got to take 1,000 out of their budget.
Well, we have oversight for the budget, so you don't let them put more in. You establish a number and then you hold people accountable to that
Well,
number.
we did, but for years we had to pull that down because we didn't have any money.
Okay, I hear you.
We begged them to drop those and they did.
So
So
you're
if
saying.
they go over just a little bit and we have to do an appropriation to December, it doesn't bother.
But we only had them drop in
little bit.
areas where they weren't spending it. Like if you appropriated $10,000 for something and you only spent $2,000, but then the next year, do you really need to put $10,000 in that line item? That's where we had them drop it, is the areas that they weren't spending the money.
I guess what I'm suggesting is you asked us to take a look at this budget. So I spent the time to go through it line by
Yes.
line.
Right.
If we're just gonna walk in here and say, well, hey, let's just give more money, then guess what? Next time I'm not gonna look at it. So if we have a $3,000 budget for the year, if somebody's at $2,000 year to date through June, they're trending to be way out of whack. Now,
Out of
that's
whack.
only $1,000. But if there's 72 line items that are $1,000 over, at the end of the year, you're $72,000. So you either have to decide that you care or you don't, set some accountabilities and go through the process. So if we just want to assign, if we just want to appropriate more money, I'm great with it. That makes my job a lot easier. Or we go through this thing and somebody's got to respond as to why they're over. That's what I'm.
That was
No, I-
my whole thought, is I wanted people to be mindful of their budgets, and if they are going to run low, I would like for them to let you know, to pay attention. And then for us to know, and then explain why they're over, because that helps the budgeting process. Why is it over? Things are more expensive now. Everything's more
There you go.
expensive.
And it might be that simple. Might be that
It
simple.
could be just that simple. But
I
it
mean,
helps to know
Like
why.
I said, in my office with the copier, it's just, those toner cartridges are
I
ridiculous.
mean, that makes,
I mean,
but that's a great example. That makes sense. That makes,
in my line item down at the bottom, I have computer or services or computers. I don't even know what it says now.
Yeah, we might need to raise the cost of getting that copy.
That is
Yeah.
nothing.
Your
I haven't taken
computers,
any-
yeah, you only have $700. Well, you've only used $700.
Right, so I mean,
But
honestly, maybe I was thinking I was gonna buy something, I don't know, can't remember, I'd have to go back.
if the office supplies, if you end up 2,500, then that's what needs to be the next year's budget.
Yeah, that's what I've done for this year's, or for 25,
We've aimed low, on the low side for a long time,
but
but,
SCER, I mean, that's.
I like to talk about SCEO for a while.
All right,
It's a big deal. and
It's a
nobody
big
really wants to
deal.
talk
If
about it.
you-
no,
that's a tough.
I think we need to finish this discussion. I like where Eric's going. I think we put a number out there. It is our job as the fiduciaries of government to check in on this stuff. It was also brought up at the state level that council should be looking at the half-year mark. They recommended it, so I mean,
I mean, I don't have a problem with that, given.
I think it
the
makes
type of
sense to do
report.
this
Yeah.
regardless.
And I can send out an email to the department heads tomorrow to look at their,
Yeah, I mean, there's some things in the sheriff's budget, the $30,000 appropriated for something. He's got it's 30,000 actual use, and he has 0 in it right now.
that might have been in the 105.
That's yes,
What page are you on?
yeah, the legal deputy, that's 2,000, and 2,000's been used. It's at 0. And we have a ways to go through the year.
No, that might be a one-time hit. I mean.
Yeah, it might be.
Some of these are set up as a
That's something
one-time.
we have to
What
pay
is it?
attention to.
What?
Under the
The legal
liability
deputy, yeah,
premium.
see, that one is finished, and the 30,000, I'm sorry, that's the liability premium. So it's done, it won't be paid.
One timers.
It's a one and
One-time
done.
deal.
So it came in earlier than what they thought.
Well, I mean, it just came
It's
in,
just one time.
it just came in 2 months ago, maybe.
But the whole thing was for people to be mindful of their budget, and for us to not be worried about whether they're gonna have enough in there.
Mhm.
They need to let us know when they realize that they're not gonna have enough. We should know about it, not after the fact that they're over, before the fact that they're over.
So that halfway through the year.
Yeah, that's where we're at right now.
That's what the
So-
state's recommending is do a half-year review
Yeah,
of your budget, and make sure you know what appropriations are coming down the pipe. And if there is an appropriation that is already, it's gonna get it in now.
Now, is there a reason why you wouldn't do quarterly,
No,
once a quarter?
I mean, why, it makes you that much better to track your expenses.
if you did a quarter, it'd be easier.
You want to get ahead of it, right?
Yeah. It'd be easier,
In the 7th month, we're behind.
yes. So that was my reason for bringing up the BSR report. And Lance, you want to talk about SCER?
Yeah, I mean, I sent out an email with what my concerns were. And I'm worried it's going to get really bad next year. And in general, just the amount of revenue that SCER brings in and the amount that they spend is pretty far apart. They've had, since I've been on council, they've had a pretty healthy savings built up, which is good, but they're running through it pretty fast. To the tune of, I think next year they could be almost out.
And I know we've had this, I agree with you, I think I sent the back of notes that I agree with you. And my concern is that, and we brought this up last year, they use the funds that come back from the state as their go-to savings funds. It's not a savings fund. It's supposed to be run for your operational costs only. I think the commissioners need to look at, I mean, they're over SER. They need to look at it from the standpoint of how is that money being brought back when they receive their check? How is it being brought back in? We already started off the year, what was it, 163,000 less because we missed the deadline. And that was in the guy that they had come down, the consultant, because you're gonna get 90 days. So they start off the year with 193 minus, and already this year, we had to get an extension, I think in May, right? Was it in May? We had to get an extension because we were falling behind again.
It's through August.
So the point that you're making, I think it's gonna continue to happen until administratively, they get a hold of what their expenses are. Why we went out and bought a $200,000, $190,000 ambulance when the consultant said your ambulances are fine. But they still approved it. There goes the cushion right there. Cushion disappeared.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not an EMT. I don't know anything about running the SCER department. I just don't recognize the numbers are trending really bad. To the tune of, I mean, we were upset over the payout for the Belterra settlement out of casino money. This is gonna be higher than that
Yes,
to get their budget to work next year.
yes.
It's gonna be higher than $315,000. So I've been sending emails and phone, calling people, and I guess until Jackie shows up right here and says that, it's just not sinking in. I don't know what we're gonna do to fix it.
I think it's sinking in to the point that the commissioners actually had the consultants come down and go through things, because they knew before we had to do something. So they're trying to do something. They're trying to set it up differently. And we have a new director there, which happens to be off work right now. Is she back?
Back.
She's back. And getting things done timely is really a bad thing. And that's the reason why they didn't want a director that was on the truck too. She needs to be doing the work, so that you don't lose money by things going in late. You don't lose money by bills being turned in late and you have to pay extra on it because you gotta pay late fees. There's a lot, evidently it's an organizational situation, I think, is part of it. But then they also do need to realize that the money that they take in is not for their own kitty to play with. It goes towards the operational expenses of running the ambulance service. So when they make money, it goes into the operational cost of running it. It's not for them to spend any way that they want to. I think that's where the wires have been crossed. I could be wrong. Like I said, I'm not an EMT either.
Do they have to get approval for the spend?
They're supposed to.
Do they?
Yeah.
So I think I think Emily should come in front of us. We are the fiscal body of the county. We see an issue that's being approached. I think she needs to explain how she's going to move forward with her costs, that she understands this is not your savings account. It is an operational budget. You're to apply those dollars into your operational funds. And I mean, Lance is right. If you look at these numbers right now, they're gonna be probably 1.5 times, I think is what I calculated, 1.5 times what they are this year negative at the rate of spending. Now, I'm sure they're gonna say, we're not gonna buy another ambulance, but it's still gonna be one time then.
Yeah.
But I think that goes back to the point that you made. This is why you hold these quarterly meetings and have them come in front of us. This isn't something I would want Gail to try to explain.
If they've got to answer a variance report every month, they'll be more mindful.
Yes.
We know what's going on with overtime. I think we can solve it here, then report to us, but are they that short-staffed?
I think they had it in
They were.
They were
April,
in
May,
just
they were
for
down
asking for
3
staffing.
3 or 4.
They,
Part-timers or full-timers? 'Cause I know they were at
full-time,
full-timers a lot. Okay.
2 full-time for sure.
Eric, I think we're always gonna have that problem being the county that we are. We just can't compete against the Dearborn, and that's where they go.
I get that. I was
Even
just,
with the increase that we did.
I just wonder if when she comes in here, like, how many runs did they make last year? How many runs did they make a month? How many runs have they made this year? Just to get an idea of productivity, that's all.
We hope they don't make very many.
You hope not. And so then that would mean just straight time hours and not overtime hours.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm going with it, right?
Yeah.
Right, because when you go down the list and you say office supplies, operating supplies, medication, repair and maintenance, other supplies, vehicle repairs and maintenance. I mean, it's only a third, we're halfway through the year, so they're either really new stuff that's in great repair or they're not running the wheels off the stuff. Maintenance agreements, they're all well within tolerance, but overtime is, so maybe it is just a function of they don't have the people.
I think one of the
So they got
things
to
that
cover it all.
consultant agreement was, when's the last time they RFP'd those agreements? Like maintenance on the trucks. When's the last time you took that out for bid? I mean, all those things make a difference.
Yep.
So I,
But they, those individual things are important, but, their budget's over $1 million, right? It's $1,071,000. Their average revenue is about 700,000, 7.25. So you're setting yourself up for your $1,000 a day, the whole year, you're underwater.
There you
So
go.
at some point, that's gotta, you can look at separate line items, I guess, but the whole thing is what I'm concerned about.
Yeah, I wasn't necessarily looking at Lance, I was just saying relative to overtime, the activity does not appear to be there.
Yeah.
So to Lisa's point, maybe it's an organizational issue.
but I think that's why we need her in front of us to help explain. I mean, we can look at the numbers on a piece of paper, but without explanation behind the numbers, we're just guessing.
All right.
I think we should ask her to come in August and explain where her budget is for this year.
Yeah, for this
I'm not stepping on toes on the commissioner's side. I think Lance, it's not Lance's budget, but he sees the same thing. I think multiples of us are seeing.
Yeah.
We just need to figure it out. What's it gonna look like by the end of the year?
Can you ask her, Gail? Yeah. So we can start getting prepared for that. Okay, do anybody else have anything else to
Do we
say
need
about
to
that?
take a motion on the idea of doing this on a quarterly basis? Or how do we?
Do we want, you mean to do the BSR on a quarterly basis?
The variance report?
Yep.
I'll make the motion. I'd like to see a quarterly variance report by the department heads. We do need to establish a value, a dollar value, or a percentage variance if they're off by X% or if they're off by dollars.
Is this for only the things they're behind on?
That is correct. So,
Only
yeah.
the things that they're running in the negative?
That is correct. A negative variance report out. So quarterly they come in and they all stack up over here and we go A, B, C, D, E, F, G, right through the list. And they tell us why things are the way they are relative to a negative number. And it could be as simple as that's a one-timer or that was a premium paid in April. We're not going to have any more expenses in that category. And so it could move very, very quickly, or maybe it does move very quickly and we have some good discussion and we find solutions going forward.
You have a number in mind?
I would say probably $1,000. 2,500 bucks, actually. It just depends. And that's what I would be accustomed to if it's over 20, because you're talking about, now that would be a monthly variance. So maybe with a quarterly variance, to Lance's point, we don't want to be picking on small potatoes. So maybe we have to move the number up, but we should start somewhere. So I've got a recommendation on the process. You all are more familiar with the budget than I am. So if somebody else has a recommendation on a value, I'll be in favor of it.
Can we use this monthly financial statement as like a base? You just pick the ones that are in the negative?
And you can do that like in the month, it doesn't necessarily mean.
And if,
So-
and if it, like for instance, the one-time thing that has been paid out, so that the fund is zero now. I don't see why they would need to have to come here and tell us that. They should be able to,
Yeah.
If that's the monthly variance they have.
they should be able to communicate that through Gail.
Yeah.
I think, and, to where you will know.
Right,
This is
and I probably
for
would
that.
know.
Yeah.
So you made the motion, right? Is that your motion? Quarterly variance report for accounts in the negative up to 1,000? that what you wanted?
Yeah, I'm gonna default to the experience in the room on
So
the
let's
value.
say you leave it at 2,500, you were thinking $2,500 a month, so 7,000 by the end of the quarter. Is that a fair number?
I'd say around 2,000.
For the quarter, I would say 2,500.
2,500.
2,500 per
We're
owner.
that far over, you know,
That's a lot.
questions he'd be asked.
You'd be asking, wouldn't you?
Yep.
So would I. 2,500.
Eric made a motion
Per line item.
Per line item.
to do quarterly reports for the negative variances up to $2,500.
With the caveat of if it's a one-timer, premium, we bought a van, they give explanations prior to the meeting. We rely on the auditor to give recommendation as to who should attend and who should not attend. And, or we look at and say, we want to see this person. If she says, hey, they're all one-timers, here's the answers I received back, okay, don't need to see the sheriff. But we do need to see sheriff, we do need to see the court order.
We're thinking mid-quarter, like November, October, November, December, that quarter, to do it in November. Or,
Well, yeah, because on that one, you'd want it before, because we have to do appropriations in December, right?
yes,
Before, yeah, I have to have them advertised
So on
2
the
weeks
fourth
prior. so
quarter,
yeah,
You would
you'd
have to,
probably want it no later than mid-November.
I'd say we need to do that November meeting. In order for
Get to work on it.
the appropriation, the schedule for that.
Again, you all know the timing better than I do, so. But every 3 months, whatever the cycle
Yeah.
is, they should be in reporting on it, right? At a minimum.
starting
My opinion.
November meeting.
Yes,
What, starting this process November meeting?
Yeah, is that what you're
No,
meaning?
so the next one would be, so this
It'll be
quarter that
October,
we're
December.
running third quarter, so that one, I guess that would be the beginning of November. October, I'd be middle of,
October.
the October
October
meeting,
meeting,
October meeting. Having Emily show up for this, we're kind of doing it now. Next
That's a
month,
one-off.
that's for second quarter.
And then Q3 reports
Right.
out in October.
That makes sense. I'll second the motion.
makes sense, quarterly report starting mid-October, the October meeting. I just want to make sure Gail has enough time for the appropriations, for the advertising and everything that to be done before the year end. Or, of course, October is always, that's budget adoption and everything meeting, so that's kind of.
Stressful meeting, just.
It's always,
Let's
never a
add to
fun
it, no
one,
problem.
never a fun. All right.
But
we have a-
we're kind of thinking, so you know, you're kind of doing this already, but this is all the funds, but so you'll find the ones that are in the negative, let's say. You'll contact those department heads,
Yeah.
let's say there's 6 of them or something,
Yeah.
and then they would say, okay, here's my answer on those.
Yes,
She would relay that to us.
yes,
Might need to see 6 of them, might need to see none of them in that meeting.
that's true.
The answers are good.
Yes. Yes. All right, motion's made by Eric, second by Matt. All in favor? Carries. All right, board appointment discussion. We need to have that decided in December for all board appointments. So Pete, what we need is, I know it's a daunting task to figure out who's on what board and how many years and when's their term up and all that kind of thing. That we need a spreadsheet of some sort with who's on what board and when they are.
That's an Excel file.
Okay, that's all accurate. Okay. We need to have that. I would say we need to start that in October. And then November, if you need to meet people or whatever, and then vote on it in December. This year, we've had several boards where we've had a big problem because we did not do it early enough. There's already, by time we meet in January, by time council meeting in January, there's already a liquor commission meeting at 1:00 on the day of your meeting in January. You have to appoint those people, or only a 1-year appointment. They have to be appointed in December. Or you start liquor commission meeting in January with nobody on the board. That happened this year. It was very confusing. It's still confusing. They're still having a hard time with it because we were way into the year before we appointed people for these boards, and we can't do that anymore. It messes things up too much. So we have to do that in December. I would like to do all the boards in December. because their term is up at the end of the year. We need to start January with all the boards full. So that's something we really missed on last year. We've not done that before, missed that like that. Last year, we really messed that up. And I want to make sure we don't do that again.
I wouldn't hear.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, but it's very confusing, you know, I brought in my little spreadsheet things and stuff like that, and some of them were old, and then I went over there and looked on that board, and those weren't accurate to who was where. It wasn't, so it's very confusing, so that's something we need to have in October, absolutely in October, and advertise for the boards. And I think if you do it long enough, that maybe we'll get some people in the community to step up and do things. You know, because someone will ask about it after the fact, after it's already been assigned and done, and then they'll want to know about it. So I just think it's good to get more people involved.
I can get the current spreadsheet in your inboxes tomorrow if you want.
I'd love it.
Yeah, that way y'all
Yeah.
have time to
Well,
understand everything.
yeah, understand what you have to do, because it gets confusing to me, because council does some, commissioners do some, the town do some, the judge does some. I didn't even know the judge did some of the appointments. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And, so it's very confusing.
Are there that many boards that meet that early in the year?
Yes.
I mean, so our meeting's gonna be on January 8th.
I know there's one that day.
I mean, I guess here's my only concern with that is that, you know, I would want the people who sit in my seat after I'm gone be able to appoint their board that they want for that year.
I see what you mean, but.
So you have,
Those,
I know sometimes like an election will come through and then some of it might be 2-year seats, so it doesn't matter. But I guess in some that I would want whoever's sitting here in January to have the say for that year, I guess.
Well,
I know you're giving up 8 days. I understand
Yeah.
that.
but you
But
don't have,
when do
you don't have the
when do you
board
make
for
the
the.
announcement then? I
But
mean,
you can still do, no, absolutely, you can still do
You have to
the,
do it in December because that person's term is up December 31st. So you cannot go into January without having the board filled because it messes up that organization having a meeting.
well, I mean, I understand that, but like I said, you're talking 8 days.
8 days with nobody on the board.
yeah, I think a part of the issue this past time was by the time you got it out there, we were coming out of I think you posted some of it. We coming out of holidays, all the other crap that's going on in January,
It needs
leading
to
up
be
to
done.
February tax season. People aren't paying attention.
We used to work in December.
Yeah.
We used to always do it.
I think it makes sense to appoint the boards and move on. So they're established on day one of the new, just like the new council is gonna be established on day one, the new commissioner is gonna be. Why, it should be,
That's the way.
everybody should be established and know what their seat is on January 1st.
I can go through the spreadsheet too and highlight the ones that are gonna come up, just to make it easier.
Yeah, well, you'll have if you've got on the spreadsheet when their term is up, we can figure it out. And then who appoints that? If it's a council appointment or a commissioner appointment or whatever appointment it is for, because that would really help. That's one of the hardest things for me, I think, to keep track of that. All right. Anybody else have anything to say about that? All right, board reports.
I gave a report last meeting.
Yes.
There's been no activity since then.
Okay. Mike.
Met with Tom Monday. Missed our meeting. It was the same week as our council meeting in June. But I stopped by and talked to him. I'll just run through a few of these bullet points that he went over with me for EMA. The multi-hazard mitigation plan is getting close to being finished. The final draft. Berkey Engineering has a few more details to finish up. This is coming out of a grant reimbursement for $18K. They're continuing to look at the storm shelter for the upper and lower lane development. It's kind of at a standstill right now. There's due to some liability concerns possibly. So he's still adamant about the storm shelter in Patriot. They concluded their aircraft rescue training in March. They did their they did some training down here for extrication class. You probably seen him down at CJ's place doing that. And he picked some ice this year, which I thought was great because we had a lot of semi traffic through here. So in May, They concluded the ERS fire class, 6 at Posey in Township firefighters. Out of the 10 that they had, 6 completed. So, they were awarded 2 grants, one from Swisson County Foundation for $1,700 and one from the Community Foundation of Swisson County for $1,500 for laptop computers for the EMA and the EOC. District 9 coalition meeting, he put in for 3 classes this year that could take place down here at the Tech Building, but it depends. Out of the counties in District 9, everybody gets to put in and then see who they choose for a location. So he said they have a real nice facility compared to a lot of places, but some places like Clarksville just got a new facility, it's like seats 300 plus. So, also, the second quarter, there were 3 drone requests. He was just talking about the drones that he uses and how.
You mean 3 drones requests to use the drone?
3 requests to use the drones.
Okay.
He just gives some scenarios to where they were able to end investigations or find things a lot quicker with the drones. And that was pretty cool to hear about. He did submit his grant for $150,000 for the new 800 series radios for the Fire Chiefs Association. Or I'm sorry. And then he also went to the Fire Chiefs Association to ask for matching. Does the grant get approved? Fire chiefs said they might not be able to approve the full amount if he gets the 150, but they possibly could match to a certain
How many radios does that cover?
22.
So is this what Eric was talking? So we would have $75,000 the county would need to come up with if he gets the grant?
Potentially, yeah. Depends on, depending on which radios that they select.
Yeah, that was another thing. So he was still looking at different suppliers, which I think some of the top suppliers, he told me which ones they were, like slipped my mind, probably Midland, Kenwood, some of the other top names, but he is looking at 3 or 4 different suppliers for that. So, depending on the cost. And then he had to renew his EMR certification for 2024, which is good through 2026. They're still looking at a debris management plan for the county. Basically, the way he described this to me, which wasn't fully understanding a whole lot about it, but if a tornado comes through a certain area, just say like East Enterprise, for instance, then they want to have a certain area to where they can take materials and separate materials, because not everything after a situation like this occurs can they pick up everything together, like appliances, metals, woods. It has to be separated out, and they're looking for possibly people that will donate some property to where they can make that a debris management site. So they're still looking for this. And then there's debates on whether or not to about the tornado sirens. They're still looking for input from elected officials. Some counties are talking about getting rid of their sirens due to high maintenance costs, keep them up front. So I know he mentioned some of the other counties have already started to decommission and take their sirens out. So it's just because of the high maintenance costs it takes to.
Then if you're not outside, you have to be outside to hear it.
Yeah, and that's what he said. He's on the fence. He can see both sides of it, which a lot of people probably can't. But yeah, that's what I went over with Tom Monday.
Thank you. Lance?
Recycling district meets in August.
No July meeting. Full board meeting next week.
None? All right. I'm not on any board, so. Anything from anybody in the audience? Yes, please.
I would introduce myself. I'm Carol Furnish, resident, not anything other than about 3 different topics. And I'll go through the first one. My understanding, I've been watching these programs, I call them programs, for about 8 months. I'm still confused about several things. And I was under the understanding that John Bond was sending you financial reports about the casino revenue on a monthly basis. Did you get one this month?
No,
We haven't
because
had one in 2 months.
Yeah, yeah. So my question is he doing this out of the benefit? Is he doing this to benefit you or is he getting paid?
Carol, that's a really,
And
I
I
have it down
have been
here.
asking this for 10
Okay,
years.
so,
and
and
I'm-
I will let you know, I asked about. we
I
haven't
wanna know.
received Those, so.
I want you to find, if you're so picky about the 1,000 or 2,500 over, this is an issue you need to address.
You are absolutely right.
Because I know of a print source. I'm a librarian, I've worked at universities. There's a print source that you can get for revenue. And I don't know what you're paying him, but I can get you
We
the,
don't pay him.
We don't
That's
pay him.
revenue.
okay, so he's economic development
Yes.
But,
and he's paid via that avenue.
so Carol,
He
the
has
the
a
rule
job.
is that John, at some point, somewhere, John took over the responsibility of coming to us and giving us that number. The
It-
treasurer is the actual person that's supposed to tell us what that number is. So,
No, I'm not buying it. I'm
but that's the
sorry.
rule.
Okay, the rule. Okay, find a way to get the reports.
That's.
If you can't get him through him, I can give you a print source
No.
and somebody has to evaluate it. I mean, you've got to get it done.
It's on the BSR.
And if you're saying in October, you're going to wait to give different nonprofits money, I want to see where the finances are. I'm not the only one out in the community who's doing this. I'm frustrated. I know several of you people, I don't distrust you, but I don't understand the avenue we're going. And I'm hearing money issues and I'm conservative and I would follow you and back you, but right now I'm not backing any of you. I'm just not. And I've been watching, I've been looking, and I want to see that casino revenue. And there's another suggestion. That's the first one. The second one,
Carol, just to be clear, two meetings ago, I actually asked John a half a dozen questions. I don't recall getting many answers. I personally asked him, why don't he come to this meeting, show us what he discusses with prospective employers that would come to town.
He's an economic, his job is.
I know what his job is, what that
since
is, and I've
but
seen
since
that
meeting, he's not
static
returned.
website.
Since that meeting, he's not returned. So I share your concerns, I share your questions. So thanks
Now,
for-
how
thanks
I
for raising
have
it.
looked at the state database to see who's being paid what. His entity is not listed there whatsoever. So how is his department being funded and what is his take on how is he getting paid? I know it's not your area, but I've been trying to trace that for,
It's
quite a
economic
while.
redevelopment, yeah.
I know, but it's not, you can't find
She's asking
you
how-
can't find the
how's
money. You can't
Where's the
find
money
it.
come from? Pay the salary.
And it's our county and we can't
Yes.
find the revenue, can't find
It
it.
comes from the Belfast.
it comes from
Then-
casino money.
Okay,
We paid the economic development and then they have a board within. and
Why
I don't know
isn't it
what-
why isn't it
That's
public?
something, they had a meeting, that's why he wasn't here tonight, because he was going into a meeting that would probably run over.
If I
I
could
mean, I'm
see
not
the,
making
if I could see the
excuses for it, but that's
financials,
what
I
he-
would not be here complaining.
Well, have you ever went to his office at the tech building and asked him?
Not about that. I've been there for other things,
Yeah, I would. have
about
to-
the READI
Yes, I
grant.
got a letter, yeah,
Okay,
I got a letter about that.
Economic redevelopment.
Have we
Yes.
received a digital copy of that report? And we haven't seen him in 2 months. Has anyone got that digital?
No, the numbers for July.
again, there's a print source out there, but somebody would have to do the analysis for
It
you.
is the truth. I don't know how, when, where in the past years John's always done it since I've been on, but it is the treasurer's responsibility to report that number to us.
Gail has done it before.
So
The other Gail.
Right, yeah.
you are right. We
Yeah,
are,
rails.
She
I
looked
mean,
at
when
me.
you look
that's
at the
why I was
numbers,
like,
we
the other
ended the
Gail.
last time he reported, we were negative 3 months, positive of 1.2%. We need to understand if we're falling another 2 months of negative because
If we're
That's the
negative,
picture
I think
for what
11
she's
out of
talking
12
about.
months.
Yeah.
Okay, second question. And this is not it's kind of a criticism, but a new way to look at things. Is there any way that attendees can see the auditor's report and can see the casino revenue reports? I hear the dialogue, but I can't understand it because I don't know, it's very helpful. The dialogue between everyone is fine, but I would have to go next day to the auditor's office and get the material and make a request. Is there any way that people that attend, that are interested, could actually see the material at the same meeting? Because I've been to meetings in other states and this kind of stuff happens. It's an idea, and it might be a problem for everyone, and it might not be possible, but it has happened in other communities. Okay. The third thing, which is, I think, the most controversial, is who's on first? Who is doing the funding of the nonprofits? Who's doing that? Because I've been to you and I've been to the county commissioners, and I don't know if you're in midst of discussing that, which is fine, or if somebody's made a decision. I looked at the discussion by Jamie. He was quoting the wrong section of the Indiana Code when he was making his reasoning. I'm sorry, that was wrong. And you can ask Brett Howard, you can ask me, and I can give you the correct code sections.
Well, Carol, if you want to supply that with, it'd be great, but
Yeah.
I will lean on, our attorney came out and
Yeah, we had our-
I saw the
he's
attorney.
already given us, by his opinion, we've heard from the State Board of Accounts and their opinion. That is the code that he represented, and it is the correct code.
It isn't, it's a city.
That's your opinion. That's
We're
your
not a
opinion.
city. We are not a
There's two
city.
levels of that. There's the city and a corporation, and then there's us.
I'll bring it next meeting.
Okay,
And there's three
here's where I would
sections.
go with it if you want to, because it's not going to be a debate, I don't think, within council or commission, because our attorneys jumped in. We've heard
I
from
saw
the
the,
state.
unless it's after the meeting, I didn't see where he clearly,
So you
said-
might want to reach out to the state board. You have every right to reach out to the State Board of Accounts and ask them.
okay. So what is your understanding in terms of who is the final decision maker? Is it county commissioners or is it your
It is the
department?
County commissioners.
Okay,
It's
He-
both of us.
In the April meeting, the lawyer clearly stated.
I saw the April
It
meeting.
was the commissioner's
That's right.
responsibility. He followed that on with written communication and stated the same thing.
Okay, I'll give you a PowerPoint presentation on the code sections.
You can tell there's even disagreement here. Here's my opinion. I think the process is gonna go, there's an application for funding. It's gonna go to the commissioners. They're gonna be the ones that say yes or no. If they say yes, it comes to us and we appropriate the funds.
That's right.
Okay.
They
The
say
funds
it.
are-
So they're saying it's all commissioners. It's not all commissioners. They get to go first, but we get to go next.
We
We appropriate the funds.
They can ask for it, but we have to appropriate.
That's the key. That's the go, right?
They have to bring it to us.
Okay, what if they don't?
If they say no, we never see it.
That's right.
We could reach
We don't
out.
have any authority.
Therefore, the authority.
That's why the authority lies with the
Okay.
commission.
I understand the memorandum, the possible lack of the follow through on the memorandum of understanding in the past. At one time it was done and then I don't know what happened. But if we could reinstate that and maybe go with I just don't see where you're coming with any non-agencies are not going to get any money. That's what I saw at one of the meetings. Okay, enough said.
Of NGOs, non-government organizations, and there's state guidelines on what we can give the casino revenue to. But that's,
Other counties can do it. Dearborn and Ohio County have been giving money out to
NGOs.
non-government institutions via the casino money. Do you want us to trace that back and bring it to you? If they're,
We can do it.
casino money?
We can do it too. We just have to have a written contract.
Okay.
It's called, they called it an MOU years ago.
Yeah.
That got dropped, that got dropped along the way. We just stopped doing that and we shouldn't have. State Board of Accounts said we needed to do it specifically. So that's what's gonna happen, but it goes to commissioners for, I think
but the
everybody
system
agrees.
has to be set up by them,
First.
not by us.
By commissioners.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right. I started looking through that. I wanted to find you the BSR page for, economic redevelopment. And I couldn't, I thought I had it with me, but I
There's not
don't.
really, there's just the 1191 account,
Yeah.
and that's not going,
But
that's
there's a-
not, or the 1191 fund rather, and within that is his
Yeah.
account.
Yeah, but it's in economic redevelopment,
Yeah.
which has its own board.
Yeah, he has his own
Uh,
board, and I'm assuming
yeah.
they decide how they're gonna pay for this and that.
Yeah.
So on,
I mean, we pay the utilities over there because he's in the tech building.
Yeah.
on her first, on Carol's first issue, which was, can the public see what we're looking at? Is there, I mean, I think printing it does not make sense. That's a cost to the.
No,
I mean, it's hundreds of pages. So, but if it were offered electronically
yeah, we could send it to whomever wanted it.
or
but-
give them a feed as to where to go and look at
Mhm.
BSRs that we're gonna be looking at.
That's why I
I mean-
suggested a summary, Matt. So, you know, what I would envision from the auditor's office is, here's the 6 or 7 departments, however many departments there are. And here's their year-to-date budget, and here's their year-to-date expenses. And you can clearly see who's over and who's under.
Right.
And then everybody, you know, below the red line, however you want to establish it, is actually here tonight, and they'll be presenting on their line item variances. Boom. And then every month, you could do it. I know we've established quarterly, but on a quarterly basis, at least the public would get to see what's going on with the finances. I mean, there's disconnect in this room, let alone what's going on in the community.
Carrie?
Yeah, what if, that would, I know that like that information is put out in the paper, maybe ahead of time, that these, these are going to, these government entities are going to be coming to, and maybe give the public a heads up,
Well, you're talking about, you're back to talking about we're talking about on Carol's point of a regular
Right.
meeting, the information that we look at
Yeah.
specifically,
Lance,
how do they
On
see
that
it when
monthly
we're seeing?
comparison report, how many
Could you
pages is that,
possibly-
3?
Or maybe.
Or have you guys ever seen the monthly comparison
Yeah,
report?
Yeah,
See it?
that might be,
That's, I mean, that's
that would probably be
basically
a good
what you're
one.
gonna get right there.
Because you guys are required to do this every month, right?
I
BSR
have
is
to balance with the
146
treasurer.
pages.
possibly, people that are interested, you could put like some kind of item in the newspaper with a link, and they can link to that document and look at it prior.
I mean, can't the county website,
The problem, I mean, you got, I
That's
think
where
the
it
county
relates to
website's
county
the best,
website.
the government website is the most pronounced.
Place.
Right.
The newspaper is falling behind. I don't think a lot of people are still buying the newspaper personally.
I
Well,
agree.
and we
I
have
think
to
there's
pay
still
when we
some
put.
people
Yeah, and then we have to pay that. So that's why we have government sites. So it makes sense to put it on the government.
County website.
Yeah, that's, one I can have.
Okay,
5
Yeah.
minutes.
right. Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Thanks, Carol. Doc, you got something?
Yeah, real quick. Somebody can answer this. Jackie's relationship with Indiana towns and counties.
AIC,
whatever it's called.
yeah.
Yeah,
Association of Indiana Counties.
yeah. So, is that her relationship with working with you and other counties? Will you, is she on retainer of some sort?
Yes,
Mhm.
You also hire her?
yes.
Okay. So can she work with department heads and elected officials independently?
Sure, she's gonna charge fees.
Yeah, she'd probably charge
That
me.
wouldn't be under the
Yeah.
county's.
She's actually hired by the auditor
Yeah.
to help with doing to make sure that you hit everything
Right.
timely.
She's pretty
for-
knowledgeable.
Yeah.
As
She was
far as-
prior auditor as well.
I guess what I'm getting at, that you would have to pay a fee out of your. Some tangent.
For Kathy. I mean, I can ask her what that would be and what, when she comes down, if she could set some time up.
Because I'm, of course,
Yeah.
experienced
Kathy or for Jackie?
I've experienced her with different
Kathy, for
things,
Jackie.
but, I didn't know the contractual arrangement or how that.
Yep, I can ask.
Thanks.
Right. Anybody else have anything?
yeah, I got something that's been brought up to me a couple different times by a couple different people, but and you guys may have talked about it last week, but I don't know. But when it comes to budgeting and for the salary ordinances this year, this so-called rule that was passed that went into effect July 1st for the difference of salary to determine exempt and non-exempt, we'll be looking into that as far as our salaries go too.
Yes.
We're gonna have to,
We have-
to let you know, that was just published by the Fed yesterday. Texas came out and appealed it. The new wage goes from hourly overtime. The new exempt level is 43,000 something this year. Right. Next year, that exempt jumps all the way to 53,000.
I see that.
So it doesn't appear that Texas is going to win this. And by chance, Texas put it in, their appeal is based off their state employee workers because they want some people to stay exempt. But this says it's carte blanche, private and public sector,
Right.
regardless. 43, whatever is that new number. So you have to go to hourly. I think it makes it easier personally, for us to say everybody's hourly now,
But
minus elected officials.
I can tell you most of the requests that have been submitted, well, all of them have been hourly.
Yeah.
All but maybe one or two.
And it's
So people are-
mandated now, as companies were, or that did it before, that maybe you took a job for 36 hours and your 37th, you were getting overtime. No more. You have to work over 40 hours to get overtime.
Yeah. So we're budgeting for next year's salary ordinance, right? This year.
That's right.
So
Yes.
do we have to look at the 58,656 or are we looking at 43,880?
Ours is ours is gonna be the 53. Because our salary ordinance is already in,
58.
or 58, yeah, 58. Ours is gonna have to be 58.
That's only if they're exempt.
Right.
So as long as they're non-exempt,
But
which
doesn't
we
this
have
determine,
very few exempt employees.
Yes.
doesn't this salary number determine whether we can offer them exempt or not exempt?
Correct.
Yes.
We just don't have very many exempt.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's like 4. It's super low.
I mean, you're not gonna have this salary exempt anymore. It's gotta be hourly or you're exempt.
Yeah.
By the new rule.
We're gonna have time clocks in 2025.
You have to talk to him.
We're gonna have time clocks in 2025.
We're working with ADP right now. Get everything squared up and paid. We're squared up and paid. They have,
Why is this taking so long to get this paid? I keep hearing Jamie and
Because
the
what
commissioners
they-
talking about, we've been turning
It's on
in
them.
credit. Huh?
we've been waiting on them to contact us. I say we, as Yvette and Gail are waiting on them to contact them back. Which we got an email, I was copied on it yesterday, finally from ADP.
Never been invoiced from them or anything.
They
We've
they were
gotten-
invoiced, the invoices did not line up, so, which I'm fairly certain that everybody wants, if we're gonna pay, let's pay the right amount.
How long have we been working on this? I mean, for them to turn it into a credit, you're talking the company's number one, and then they get to a point and say, enough is enough, we're turning you guys over to a credit bureau.
They did.
Yeah, I know they did. That's the county that's been turned over to a credit bureau. That's not a good thing for us.
They're discreet.
So
A little tough
Why
to
don't we
work
just
with
get
a
it
vendor
paid?
that way.
what's that?
A little tough to work with a vendor that way.
Yeah,
Yes, which is why everything else is on hold, because the bills or the invoices that we receive from the creditor are not the same as the invoices that we receive from ADP.
but this has been going on long. I mean, we're not
This
talking
this
within
new
30
section
days.
is yes, it's
Yeah.
probably about 30 days. I think, right?
I think
But
we
prior to that,
we
don't
should
know.
pay it and then fight with them about the amount later, so you can keep moving forward.
Yeah, why don't you short pay it? Pay the smaller amount.
The majority of the fees that are on there are from this year. They charge us for time clocks every month this year. They charge us for quarterly reports. They haven't done anything for us in
But
24.
did we sign an agreement with them for the time
Yes, we
clocks?
did.
If we sign an agreement, then the agreement should say, starting on X date, you will pay a monthly fee.
I don't know that it says that in the agreement, though.
They could
That's my thing. I mean, I say send the time clocks back and.
So the time clocks are in our possession.
What's that?
My understanding is they won't be very much longer.
But we have had them, and we signed an agreement that we would pay them.
Because every time that
I
we
know.
ask about,
Money.
Agreements, you don't, they're gonna put it in the contract.
yeah, every time we ask about it, anyway.
Well,
It's a
hopefully,
difficult conversation,
Yeah.
but hopefully we can make headway very soon.
all right. Thanks for bringing that up, Mike. Appreciate that. We talked about that the other day too, knowing the new law
I
going
thought you
in.
guys might have seen it.
And we had
last-
talked
I just
about
learned about it this
A
week.
few months ago about the classifications of hourly, salary. And we need to have that clearly defined this
Yeah,
year.
because we gotta look at it this year also.
The state sent it out.
Yes. Well, we have to do it by December.
Yeah.
December is when that has to be done. And actually, it's done before the budget. I never did understand how you do this. You do your budget cycle, has to be done in October. Salary ordinance has to be done in December.
It has to be done by December. You
By
do it.
By
You
December,
do
we
it
can do
whenever-
the salary
we do it at the same
ordinance
time.
anytime, and we do it in October.
But it has to be done by the end of December.
They got different due dates.
Yeah.
But is there anybody with our organization, this is gonna affect right now from the jump from 35 to 43?
On
Is it
salary,
basically-
no,
No.
no.
Highest levels of elected officials. I don't think anybody else crosses.
I have a question.
Yes.
On the budgets and the budget hearings and when people can expect to start having those budget hearings, I'm a little unsure of what to tell everyone because I have the commissioner telling me that they need to meet with their departments and they want to meet with the elected officials. And then they're going to take it to the council. So nobody's going to come to the council?
No, your audit, the state auditor is the one who put out she's got her calendar out there. By August 20th, they are to turn over to us the recommendations for salaries. And I believe.
I thought that they could just make a recommendation for the salary. They can't recommend what I spend in my office.
No, they can
necessarily.
absolutely do
No,
that.
no, you're
They
right.
absolutely can do that.
Is it right that they cannot say what I can use in my office?
And their
I
salaries.
mean, what you can use.
My office supplies, my training, my whatever it may be,
All is line item.
No,
my line items.
It's all us. They can make recommendations.
You're saying no, that it's not you?
I think you gotta look at that a little different. That's my opinion. You look at what the state, I would call your state auditor, because she put it out there clearly what dates are due. I mean, everybody
Right,
by July 1st was supposed to have to
Mhm.
you on a form, state form, exactly
The
what they,
144, yeah.
that was, you have to turn that in to the commissioners at next Monday's meeting by
Okay.
state rule.
But
They have until the 20th of August, to sit down and review
Make the
that as well as budgets. That's their right. We look at the appropriations that they're gonna bring to us.
They don't get the actual numbers till late in August, though.
What
I
about,
have everything ready, but I don't know. No, I don't agree with. I don't
Talk
think
to the
it's like
state auditor.
that.
That's right. mean,
I think
I
it's
know that's
just
where the calendar came
The
from.
salaries, I don't think it's.
what
the
about our
overall
budget calendar that we passed?
But those were not dates that came off the state. Those were dates that we created.
I mean,
There's the IC, well, I'm telling you, you have it in your office. You have a brochure from the state auditor, right? With all
Yeah,
these
I see
dates
what
on
it
it,
is.
and then the IC code for this year has all the dates, exactly what the commissioner is supposed to do and when we pick it up. Those dates are not a part of that. We created those
Well, you
dates.
guys, you passed that
It doesn't matter.
2 months
That's
ago.
before we realized we were doing it all.
we're not doing it all wrong. These have Indiana codes in them. We pick the dates based on those codes. And
Talk to the state auditor. It's on,
I'm talking to you because you're the one that says it's not.
it's in her office. That's where you get it from. Gail, do you have that? You just said you did.
I do have it, but
So you have all the reports that you're supposed to turn over to the commissioners directed by the state auditor. Everything that you're supposed to do. State Form 1 is all the budget. It says State Form 1, every department head will fill out State
Did she
Form
give you
1.
one of those tonight, Lance?
yeah, he's got it over there.
It's not my rule, it's state's.
I took the time to put this together and everybody agreed on it. We passed it and now you don't like it.
No, I
You
didn't.
don't do it.
I didn't say it like that. I voted for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so why can't we follow these dates?
Because as of May, when we found out that we were doing it wrong,
We're not doing it wrong.
show me that we're not doing it wrong.
We got.
You show
we
me
gotta-
that we're
We
not
gotta
doing it.
follow the dates at the state.
That's right.
We
I'm
are.
following the state rules.
We are.
Those dates are not the state rules. You want to look at salary on there, she has to turn it over to commissioners, not by July 15th. Commissioners don't have to bring it to us until August 20th by rule. That's, you have it on there that we're supposed to look at. You can't do that, Lance. You can't go above an IC code.
I'm not going above an IC code.
But your July, Lance, what you put out there says July 15th, we were gonna start looking at this stuff. You can't do that because she has to get it to them
Yes,
July
at the
15th.
first meeting of the month, after July 1st. She is directed by the state to give it to them at the first meeting,
Right, that's
which
all.
is next week.
That's all.
They don't have to give it back to us until August 20th with their recommendations by state rule.
and gives them time to work.
And it's in her, that calendar is out.
We get it last, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So we can't follow that.
The commissioners will present the various budgets to the county auditor before the Thursday after the first Monday in August. That's an Indiana code. Now, I asked for it, in this timeline, I try to get it a little sooner so Jackie can see it.
But that's up to the commissioners.
It is up to the commissioners. I mean, I'd like to try.
I think the commissioners have said August 20th is when they're gonna get.
They haven't given me any dates. That's
That's
what,
a
I mean, I've asked, but nobody has given me any dates on anything, and I just wanted to clarify
I
some
don't-
things and.
We do the budget, not the commissioners. We're the ones that say,
We have to adopt it. We adopt the budget.
it's like one of the few things that we have.
Yeah.
And you're trying to give that away.
Yeah.
Right, give them.
They make
Lance, if you
recommendations
can
on-
tell me, or show the commissioners where it says we have the authority to do that, then go ahead and do it. I agreed with that. But the IC codes by the state say, no, that's not how it's done. So I can't tell you that you're okay and go above an IC code because what's it say about all IC codes? We don't want to hear this. Willingly or knowingly disregarding an IC code has ramifications to the county. I'm not doing that.
They have until August 7th. We were asking for July 17th for some more time.
August 7th for what?
The commissioners will present the various budgets to the county auditor before the Thursday after the first Monday. I don't know how they come up with these things in August, but that's the Indiana code 36-2-5-7. Okay, so August 7th is their deadline. I'm asking for it a little sooner so Jackie can see it, so that then we can meet with the department heads and let them know what kind of cuts they need to make, if any. If they don't give it to us till the 7th, I'm not gonna turn them in. I'm just asking if we can have it
I'm not
sooner.
saying-
Yeah, last,
That's what this was
I'm
about,
saying it's
because they were the ones we were waiting on last year.
It's their call. Hey,
but
I mean,
last
if you
year
want
we
to go and
went
ask
too
them, go ahead.
early because Jackie didn't have the numbers from the state to how much, we didn't even know. If they come with us, they come before us for the budgets. We did not have the state numbers yet because they're not even into Jackie to even help us with that until later in the month of August. I forget if it's the Thursday, the first Thursday after the first whatever. And we were holding budget meetings before that number was even here last year.
I mean,
So it can't happen until later in August because she doesn't have the information.
She emailed me and told me we could have it at our August meeting.
did-
So if she has it before then,
Yeah.
she can have us the final in our August
Has it
meeting.
before
So then we can, I don't like meeting with the department heads when we don't know where we're at.
Yeah.
It's kind of
But
pointless.
you guys won't be meeting with them now. The
Nope, we
commission-
did last year and we met with them and didn't have any information. We met with them meeting.
I don't agree with that.
I don't either. I don't think it's,
The commissioner's not in charge of all departments.
I mean,
I don't
you
know
guys
why we wouldn't meet
it
with them.
doesn't make sense to me. I mean, are they gonna eventually do away with the council period? Because it seems like they're ready.
You are,
Well, we have to have
So
those
they get-
appropriate
the rule
money.
is the appropriation and we are the fiduciary. We are able to look at anything and everything. As long as they're not over budget by what we collect out of tax revenues, then they're within the line. That's the way it states it. If you want to disagree with that, then I suggest you pick up the phone and call the state. Huh?
Well, I could disagree with, I mean,
I mean, it's like,
I just
how
feel
many
like you
people,
guys,
how many department heads and elected officials turned in their stuff on June 30th like they were supposed to on Form 144? How many? Why? So we were behind on that.
I mean, I have all of them now.
But now, but
But-
it says you're supposed to have everything on your desk on July 1st. When did you request it to go out?
I requested it as soon as possible when I send it
But
out.
those are the, and it's from the state auditor that came up with this stuff.
That is the craziest thing because settlement is due June the 30th. So why would you do that to one department?
Talk to
I
state
mean,
office.
that doesn't make
It's not
sense
my
to me. That's why I disagree. I mean, it's
I
no
mean, we can
different than, I'm
disagree, but the state's the rule and you have to
I
follow the
know.
rules.
not saying.
I'm,
we
I'm trying
follow
to do
it, but
better
I'm
we did
just-
last year. That's all I'm trying to do.
Yeah,
We rushed at the very end last minute and
Made mistakes.
I did a lot of it myself.
We made a lot of
And
mistakes.
so I want to do better this year. That's why I made the calendar and I'm hoping we can follow it.
I go to the commission.
you know, while I take it back, the ones that I don't have for salary is the commissioners. I don't have none of their stuff back. So,
I can tell you is, you were supposed to have this to the
I
commissioner,
know.
right, by Monday.
And I mean, I
You're supposed to
would
have it by
probably
rule,
say that I
by
probably
state,
won't have
to
it
you
by
by the
Monday when
1st.
they are in their meeting. So,
And we
Anything I
did,
can say
we
about
worked
council is
hard on
we
it
weren't
last
supposed to
year
do
because
anything.
we had to make so many cuts. We had to make a lot of cuts and everybody come in with a plan. And we ended up coming up with one
Well,
that
I'm
was
talking-
everybody's plan put together, basically. And then we got down to the end of it and had some cuts come out of that last minute that we weren't even prepared for, so it happens. And we had to make a lot of cuts last year because everybody had inflated their salaries, so I think was part of it. So it was a tough one. It was a hard one.
Yeah.
It was a really hard one. So I like getting ahead of it too, Lance. I like having it, having the information there. Does anybody else have anything? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Eric made a motion,
Second.
second by Todd. All in favor? One adjourn.